Yo, what's going on, guys? And here we are with another episode of, I guess this is the NBA with CSO. So today we have a handful of things that we want to talk about, primarily revolving around NBA free agency, which is happening tomorrow. I was talking with some people, and a lot of the news we heard today was a shock. People were not expecting what ended up happening today, where a bunch of guys either picked up their options, declined their options, or are re-signing with their said teams. So, with that being said, I believe that today's just going to be an interesting video that will talk about what we're expecting from free agency. Some of the topics that I want to list off that we'll be talking about is Paul George plans to speak with the Los Angeles Clippers, Sixers, and Magic starting late Sunday night Pacific time, obviously. Next up, Bol Bol is going to resign with the Phoenix Suns, while the Lakers, Clippers, and Mavs are expected to be the strongest suitors for Thompson. Other teams are expected to pursue him that have cap space. I think that alludes to like the Orlando Magic of the world. Rashan Holmes resigns. OKC, we talked about this earlier, did what we expected, which is decline both Isaiah Joe's and Aaron Wiggins' contracts. I think Isaiah Joe is an unrestricted free agent. However, Aaron Wiggins is a restricted free agent, which similar to like Herb Jones last year is what they're going to do there. Now, we're hearing that the Los Angeles Lakers are out here trying to find themselves, what we talked about earlier, pursuing the mid-level exception. And Russell Westbrook got his option picked up he picked up his option to stay. We got ourselves D'Angelo Russell being traded after he picked up his option, and Royce O'Neal is re-signing on a 4-year, $44 million deal. So let's get right into the news. And that involves us talking first about, I think we'll start off with the Lakers news just to get it out the way. And I think if you guys are watching right now, liking, commenting, subscribing would mean the world, as your support is forever thankful. However, comment any thoughts you wanted to share, and we're going to get right into this. Now, what are we hearing specifically about the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the report that we're hearing today about the Los Angeles Lakers is that the man LeBron James has said for a while, I don't take pay cuts. Because the whole idea is he doesn't take pay cuts ever since he took the pay cut in Miami, is you got to take as much money as he possibly can to set it up for the next guy. Because if you take up a pay cut, then teams are going to tell the next guy, oh, well, what's his face took a pay cut, so why don't you do it? Well, you know what? LeBron says, I got a year or two left of playing. So how about I take a little bit less money so we can get some players? Now, what does the report specifically entail? And this is coming from Dave McMillan of ESPN. The Lakers to pursue James Harden, Klay Thompson, and Jonas Valanciunas. Do they love those foreign big men next to Anthony Davis? As those are players that they could target with their full mid-level exception. James is willing to take less than the 3-year, $162 million max contract if the Lakers are able to secure a commitment from impact players at the full $12.9 million mid-level exception, as they are prioritizing roster improvement, and that LeBron James has been adamant about exuding all efforts to improve their roster, Rich Paul told ESPN on Saturday. According to Jovan Buhan of The Athletic, James would likely need to sign for $33 million a year, which would basically be like a 3-year, $100 million deal to fit in or just a 1-year, $33 million deal. He goes back into free agency next year. To be able to fit that $12.9 million taxpayer level, non-taxpayer mid-level exception on the Lakers books. James will seek the max if they are unable to reach the agreement with an impact player. Now, Klay Thompson and Jonas Valanciunas would be awesome. I don't know how much James Harden's going to put you over the edge, but I know some people are going to be like, I doubt this happens, as he's never taken less since leaving Miami and has always traded away any assets possible for the future. And I I think I really do think that because he took less money in Miami, $15 million less to be exact in Miami, him now taking less would not be a surprise. And I just don't see Klay or Harden taking the mid-level exception. I see maybe Jonas Valanciunas taking the mid-level exception. In terms of trading away, their assets of the future, any team with LeBron James should be in a win now mode. In my opinion, should try to put the best team forward around one of the greatest players of all time to win a championship. And I like how people act like LeBron gets put on this, but the trades like Kevin Love and AD, which brought them championships, are overlooked. And I think he's done a great job. Like, he wanted Ty Lue as the coach, and the Lakers only offered Ty Lue a 2-year deal and then tried to force Jason Kidd on his coaching staff. And if LeBron James was truly running the show, Ty Lue would have been the coach instead of Frank Vogel. And he's carried bum teams to the finals. He's a guy who got the Cavs a championship, brought them to multiple championships, even though they came short. I just think if you look at this situation, this is a very, very good one for the Lakers in terms of being able to put a championship team around LeBron James at this stage of his career. So why not go all the frick in? I feel like you're basically committing a crime if you don't do it. I personally think a guy like Mr. LeBron James, you need to do what the Rams did, and it's F them picks. Maybe I'm dumb for thinking that, but that's my thoughts. I still think this is all just really, really interesting with how we've just gone about with the NBA's current situation in terms of the aprons and everything like that. But it's another thing that's a whole video on its own that we could get onto at a later point. Now let's get into the next topic, ladies and gentlemen. Paul George. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Paul freaking George. I also don't like this camera angle, and I just noticed that we've been like it for this whole time. Now we're right here. So Paul George is a guy that could be leaving LA. I've said this before. If I was Paul George, if I was Klay Thompson, Orlando sounds really good. If I'm Klay Thompson, Orlando sounds great. Warm weather, no income tax, 40 minutes from the beach. I've already won the rings. I got 2 young guys in Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero. I can, spend the first year being the co-star, second and third year being the third guy. So I understand Klay thinking that, but Paul George thinking, hey, first 2 years, I'm that guy. Last 2 years, whatever it may be, I hand the reins off to Franz Wagner and fully to Paulo Banchero. But, the first 2 years, maybe Paulo Banchero and I are the 2 guys who are running the show in Orlando. Then you think Paul George, why would he want to go to the 76ers? Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid. I know they brought in Jerry McCain. I guess Kelly Oubre is expected to come back. Pretty decent team. You get to be the number, one of the number 2 guy alongside Joel Embiid, and you continue to chase a championship, which Orlando, yes, you'd be chasing a championship, but it's less likely you'd win one in comparison to if you were to go with the 76ers or to stay with the Clippers. And now the final option is the Clippers. I've heard 3 options. He's not opting out of the trade or opting in to be traded. So he either re-signs with the Clippers to a similar contract as Kawhi Leonard. He signs with the Philadelphia 76ers to a deal that's a little bit more than what the Clippers are offering. Because the 76ers are like, well, we're not going to offer you a full max if we know that your only real offer is coming from the Clippers, and it's a 3-year, 160. And we don't know if that's the only real offer because a team like the Thunder or another one could come out of left field and take them. But we know out of these 3 teams that the Clippers are offering 3 years, $152 million, something around that ballpark. Maybe the Sixers go, all right, we'll give you 3 years, $60 million, or 3 years, $180 $80 million, or 3 years, $160 million, or 3 years, something like that along those lines. And he goes to the Sixers. Clippers, he stays because if he stays with the Clippers, it's because he's a hometown guy. He really likes what they have there. And he wants to continue to build that. He goes to the Sixers because he gets a bit more money and it keeps him in the championship setting. He goes to Orlando, which is the final option, because it's the most money. They're going to give him the most money. They're going to have to overpay. No income tax. It's a good situation, and it makes sense. I personally think that he stays in Los Angeles. He's an LA guy. Probably wants to wrap up the career at home. He's in the media game. It just works out. I think if he were to leave Los Angeles, it's to go to Orlando because he's been paying hella taxes for most of his career. He gets the one last big old paycheck, no income tax. Then after, he does a 3-year deal maybe, and then he glory chases after this. That's my 2 cents. That's what I would do if I didn't stay in Los Angeles. Bol Bol. This one, I know some people are going to be like, why is Bol Bol staying? And I think it's more along the lines of, I think Bol Bol, we've heard the rumors, Mike Budenholzer allegedly, is allegedly a guy who really likes Bol Bol. And I think he's probably thinking like, oh, like you can maybe do the Bobby Portis role for us. And I don't think that's terrible thinking. I think it's definitely an interesting along the lines, as Bol Bol is a guy who, it's weird. On the Magic, he was really good to start this season, and then he could not hit the right side of a barn. And then with the Suns, he didn't get really any run, and then they gave him some run, and there was moments where it looked fine. Like basically before the All-Star game, he only played in 18 games. After the All-Star game, he played in 25 games, about 13 minutes a night, shot 45% from the field on about 1.5 shots a game, then shot 59% from the field on 4.5 attempts a game, about 4 rebounds, just under a block a game, 6 points. Nothing insane. Your whole thought process is, if Bol Bol could tap into the guy that he was in Orlando before he cratered, which in 54 games before the All-Star break, in 23 minutes a night, he was a guy putting up 7.5 shots per game at 58% while shooting 34% from 3 on 1.5 attempts a game. Again, you're hoping that'd be closer to 40, but still 33%, 34%. That's fine. Grabbing 6 rebounds, putting up 10.5 points, and blocking 1.5 shots and getting about half a steal game. That's kind of the guy that they would like to have off the bench. A guy who can, guard multiple positions, space the floor, grab a little bit of rebounds, block some shots. And I think that's to them is probably more in probably something that they're more intrigued by being able to do, especially that they brought back Mr. Big Boy Royce O'Neal. I think that they really do think that having a guy like that on their team, Bol Bol, on the bench specifically, which their bench is something that I think really struggled this past year and kind of held them back, will help them be a better contending team than they were this year. And I think that is a good line of action. Now, I don't know what's the real Bol Bol. Is the real Bol Bol that one guy we saw in Orlando that then turned into a 6% 3-point shooter to close out the season? I don't know. And I think consistency has been the thing for him, but I do also think having the coaching staff that he has this year is going to, with Mike Budenholzer, who's a proven coach, is going to be huge for him, and I think will make the biggest of differences. So that's where I want to hear your guys' thoughts in that, and if that's just me, but I do think it's something that you should. I don't think you're losing anything by giving him the benefit of the doubt, and it's probably a minimum deal that they gave him. So for me, I think the reason when you look at this situation, I really want to know if the belief is Bol Bol can be their like sixth man. The Lakers, the Clippers, and the Dallas Mavericks are expected to be the strongest suitors for Big Daddy Klay Thompson himself. Yes, that's the rumor we're hearing, ladies and gentlemen. Klay Thompson himself is looking at Dallas, Clippers, Lakers. If I'm Klay, I said this earlier. We've heard that multiple other teams with cap space, allegedly Orlando, probably throw in San Antonio in there. I'm going to a no-income state tax. I got 4 rings. I got 4 rings on my hand. At this point, let me go get that bag. If I want another ring, we'll do it after I get this bag. Let's go to a no-income tax state, and let's get as much money. I've lived in California for a majority of my career. I've only seen a third of the money. 2/3 of that money probably went to state income tax. And the report coming from The Athletic is that, yes, Klay Thompson is expected to leave the Warriors in free agency. Clippers, Mavs, and Lakers are interested. The Golden State. We've also heard that supposedly, if it is to the Clippers, could be a sign and trade for Paul George. Now, the Warriors are prepared to lose Klay Thompson in free agency. Both sides are operating on the assumption that Thompson will end up with another team this offseason. While the Warriors had hoped to circle back to Thompson with a contract offer after they pursued other trade options, he isn't expected to be waiting for them. Thompson is determined to find a new team and a big old pile of cash to go with it. And Thompson, the Warriors have had nearly no communication since the negotiation period opened nearly 2 weeks ago without an offer being presented. The Lakers, the Clippers, the Dallas Mavericks are all expected to be among the teams to pursue Thompson. The Mavericks have enough space to offer Thompson the full mid-level exception, which would be $13 million, just under $13 million a year, kind of like a 3-year, $40 million deals, while the Lakers can also do so if LeBron James takes less than the max, which would be $33 million. Rich Paul went on record expressing LeBron James' willingness to take less than the max if they could sign an impact player or players for the mid-level exception. The Warriors are open to participating in a sign and trade scenario to help Thompson get the type of contract he wants from a team of his choosing. Thompson is represented by Greg Lawrence, is coming off of a 5-year, $190 million contract that he agreed upon following his ACL tear in Game 6 of the NBA Finals. In 77 games last year, he averaged 17.9, just under 18 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, and 2.5 assists while shooting 38.7% from the field. Now, I think the Lakers and Dallas Mavericks, basically they alluded that if that deal was to go through, it would be because they're hoping to be able to add a guy like him via, I guess, the mid-level exception. So the only trade that could possibly happen is seemingly if the Clippers want to do it. And I think that if that deal is going to be the one that they do, I think let's go ahead and pull up our favorite thing to do, and that is the Fanspo trade machine, ladies and gentlemen. We are pulling it up right here. So if you guys haven't been on the channel before, we do like to pull up the Fanspo trade machine because, in my opinion, I think it does a great job of kind of, I think, demonstrating what a potential trade could look like. So with that being said, let's go ahead and pull up the Clippers and Warriors. That's the only trade that we're seeing. I don't see another. I mean, we'll play around with a little bit of other ones just to do it. And it's a sign and trade. So basically, if it's a sign and trade, we're assuming. Okay, this is where modify standard contract. We're assuming it's a 3-year because he's 34. I guess it's a 4-year deal because he would want a 4-year deal. And I'd have to assume you're doing 20. I think 20 a year is really good for him. It's more than the mid-level exception. 4-year 81, would that be, or does he want 25? I feel like he would want one last $100 million contract. And That's where we're going to go with this. He's going to get one last $100 million contract. But how about we do it that this year they give him 35, next year they give him 30, the following year they give him 25. And what would this look like? This would be a $111 million contract. Okay, what if the last 2 years we take off 25? All right, that brings it there. And then we'll do 17 and we'll do 3 right here, which brings us to, okay, we'll do 2, I guess. Here's making me feel bad. 2. All right. 100.5 4 years. First year of the deal is a 35. It's a descending contract, so it's front loaded. 35, then 25, then 22, and then 17. I kind of like that. It's a nice little deal. So that means they can take actually more money back in this. They can only send Klay Thompson in a deal. So this means they can take back 17.65 in salary from the Clippers. So if I'm the Warriors, Terrence Mann is the first guy I'm looking at. Next guy I'm looking at, oh man, this is where I'd hope. I think you got to go Kobe Brown. And do you do Amir Coffey or do you do Bones Highland? I think Bones Highland just because of the youth. And at this moment, you're sending 18, which if we wanted just to modify the contract, just to allow us to get it through there, I guess you could say, there you go, 16. And this would allow us to, 18.1. So would this be too much? No picks involved, nothing. And why is this not allowed to be happening? The Clippers would have to cut 16 million. But a just trade, Paul George, modify contract, decline, save, he's gone. Oh, wait, what? Yeah, because like you wouldn't be doing a Paul George deal because Paul George would have opted in. And even there, they would have to cut $11 million in this deal. That being said, this would have to then be opened up to a third team, I would have to assume, and you'd call it the Detroit Pistons, is from what I'm gathering. And you tell Detroit, how does PJ Tucker sound? And you send it to the Pistons. And in this deal, I guess, because I'm pretty sure you can attach picks. So we'll say Pistons get a second round pick from the Warriors in this deal, and that's just how the deal ends. Yeah, there you go. That's how the deal would have to look. PJ Tucker, and let's just say somebody gives a second round pick to the Pistons for taking that in, and they just buy him out. Paul George is going into free agency. Klay Thompson, sign and trade, 4-year, $101.5 million deal. First year, 36, second year, 25, that stuff. Warriors walk away with Terrence Mann, Bones Highland, Kobe Brown. I feel like it's an overpay, but it's an interesting one. But yeah. And yeah. Nothing yet we're hearing about Bruce Brown. So I don't know really. So I mean, if he wants, they could tell him no. They can tell him no. They don't have to offer him the contract. They can tell him no. They can stash him. It's not his option to come. I mean, he can say I'm coming, but like the whole purpose of drafting him was to stash him for monetary reasons. I think the Knicks are going to be fine in terms of cap stuff. They have one of the best cap guys in the league. This one shocked me. Let's drink some water. You guys know I'm a Wizards, Timberwolves, Magic fan. I was born in Minnesota, first one ever born in America on either side of my family. Lived there till I was 5, then lived in the suburbs of Greater Orlando until I was 9, and then lived in the suburbs of Baltimore till I was 19. And then I moved to Kansas, and now I live in Miami. And Rashan Holmes was a guy that you would say the Kings overpaid him. Like Rashaun Holmes got a great agent. Great agent, 2-year, $25.9 million deal, and only $250,000 out of that $13.3 million deal is guaranteed in the second year. So basically, they're giving him $12.6 million this year, saying, stay on the team. We need a center because we don't really have a center besides Alex Sarr now. So guess what? Rashaun, you get to stay here. And I think that looking at a guy like Rashaun Holmes, we were playing Danilo Gallinari and Patrick Baldwin at the center position at points last year. And also Anthony Gill. Anthony Gill could play center, but he's more of a power forward. They needed Rashaun Holmes to come in and stick around for another year. They don't handicap themselves to a long-term deal. They basically kind of give him like a Bruce Brown deal. And the second year is, I believe the second year is just straight up, just non-guaranteed, has a partial guarantee of $250,000. Now, what you're looking first off here, even in Dallas, he wasn't bad, but when he went over to the Wizards, he put up 7 points, about 56% for the field, shot a few threes. He's really not really a three-point shooter. He seemed better on defense. Obviously, the guy that Rashaun Holmes was supposed to be is the guy that he was those first 2 years in the Kings when they ended up signing him long-term, which is that between that 2019, 2021, he was a 13-point points per game guy, while putting up 8 rebounds and assists, 1.5 assists, steal a night, a block a night. And at 30 years old, he's a good player. This is just a guy that maybe down the road will move off of, and they could like. But yeah, I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I don't know. And what is your expectations from the news of Rashaun Holmes? That's it. I'm done with this one. There's nothing else to talk about. All right. So Giovanni, I actually just received a report that they're going to be bringing him over. He's not being stashed in Europe, it's seeming, as of right now. Right now, they re-signed OG Anunoby. If the Knicks salary, if we go on Hoops Hype right now, NBA salaries, who are we looking at currently? The New York Knicks are at $160 million already committed. The luxury tax starts at 11, and that's with OG already on the books. 3, 6, 9, 14. I think. Wait, 3, 6, 9, 11. Throwing the deed, that's 12 players. They got to sign 3 more. They'll figure it out. They're not in a bad position. The Knicks are fine, dude. The Knicks are fine. And hey, you got me scared for a second. No, they're not doing that deal anymore. That fell through. So we talked about this a few weeks ago. Isaiah Joe is unrestricted, but Aaron Wiggins is in a similar situation to Herb Jones last year, that they declined his option to make him a restricted free agent. Basically, they were like, look, we rather give you guys long-term deals this offseason instead of just picking up your options and kicking it down to next year, because we know you're cheaper this offseason than you will be next offseason. So with that being said, it just makes sense for all parties involved to want to work out a deal now instead of down the road, because this way you're able to have a guy like Isaiah Joe, who's one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA, and Aaron Wiggins, who replaced Kenrich Williams as this team's do-it-all Swiss Army knife, which makes me think, like, will Kenrich Williams stay? That's where I'm still at, is like, do you keep Kenrich Williams? And this is coming from Shams Charania. So Kenrich this past season, he played in 69 games, only 14 minutes a night, which was his career low. Like, he hasn't played that little minutes. And by the end of the year, he was just out of the rotation, and he's 29. So he could be someone that you could see moved as a result of Wiggins and Isaiah Joe getting their extensions. Isaiah Joe being 24, 6. They say he's 6'3". I thought he was like 6'5". They're saying he's 6'3", but he does have a 7-foot wingspan. The guy put up this past season, which actually was down, but let's just say for the past 2 years, he's been a guy who's been scoring about 9 points a night, 45% from the field, 41% from 3, 2.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists. And it's been awesome. This is what you needed. He's coming out of college, out of Arkansas. We knew he was going to be one of the best 3-point shooters in the league. And then Aaron Wiggins is just this Swiss Army knife. What's crazy is I felt like his impact was better this year, but he actually played the least amount of minutes of his career. His first season, he played 24 minutes a night. Second season, he played 70. This year, he played 8. He played 24 minutes a night this rookie season, 18 and a half his second season, 15 a night this year. But he put up 6. He had like his best efficiency, 7 points a night, 56% for the field, 49% from 3, 2.5 rebounds, and assists. Now he was just so impactful at 25 years old, a man out of Maryland. So shout out. He's a good player and somebody that, if you've been following basketball, you really like. He can, make a really good impact for a team like the Thunder. So expect the guys to be locked up long term. Maybe somebody comes in and just poaches them, which is possible. So D'Angelo Russell, according to The Athletic, remains a Laker. Another matter altogether. After failing to trade Russell ahead of the 2024 deadline, the Lakers are expected to be so aggressive in pursuing Russell-centric trades, according to league sources, that Russell's expiring contract immediately becomes one of Los Angeles' most valuable trade assets, particularly for salary matching purposes. So what would a D'Angelo Russell trade look like? And D'Angelo Russell odds, I guess we would say, next team. I'm trying to see if there's a next team odds, and it's crazy. DeAndre Jordan is re-signing with the Denver Nuggets, which it just feels like he's been there for forever. And DeAndre Jordan's like 35, but it's crazy how long DeAndre Jordan's been. Either way, they're saying the current betting favorite or next team's odds for, let's see if Russell has any odds. No, they don't have any odds for Russell. So where is D'Angelo Russell potential options looking like? And I think one of the more interesting parts about this is that I think they need to look for defense. And could you use that contract to go get you Bruce Brown? Let's sit down, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see if we can get Bruce Brown on this team. So how do we go out and get a guy like Bruce Brown on this team? So let's go ahead and change this up. So we need the Lakers. I think Bruce Brown is the guy that you would want to do. So if you're over here, you'd assume modify contract, accept. He accepted that, and then Bruce Brown there, trade to the Lakers. Would you include Gabe Vincent in the deal and say like, hey, here's Gabe Vincent. Yeah, we know we're sending you $29 million. How about you send us, because you're sending us 23. You've already traded Jalen McDaniels. Ochai's in what? Going into year 4 at this point? Or is he going into year 3? I feel like he's going into year 4. Yeah. No, he's going into year 3. Is there value in Ochai like that? I think Ochai would be a guy that if I were them, I'd be going after. But they haven't really played guys like that. So it becomes hard to say like, oh, you should go after the guy. But we know you don't really play dudes like that. You haven't. And, so... Ooh, okay. How about this? Could this deal go through? It does. Would you do this deal? D'Angelo Russell, Gabe Vincent, and Jalen Hood-Schifino. Jalen Hood-Schifino is kind of viewed as a bust. I know it's been 1 year and he hasn't played, but he had back surgery. He's not really. He was a shocking pick last year. I just don't think there's a lot of like here. Lakers walk away with Bruce Brown, defender. They get another defender and Chris Boucher. You can play the 4 and the 5. Bruce Brown can play 1 through 4. Raptors walk away with 2 guards, and then they walk away with no draft pick compensation, but they take Jalen Hood-Schifino, who could be like a reclamation project at this point. And I think that'd be one of the things that would help out. Also, thank you, man. I appreciate that. You didn't have to. It's very appreciated. Now, I think a deal like this does make the most sense. You walk away, and but yeah, no, I hope you guys did think this is a good one. But yeah, no. Hey, I shouted you out. Now, yeah, Raptors are in rebuild, and I think this is why you would do this, because then they could extend D'Angelo Russell or then trade him like they did to Dennis Schroeder, Gabe Vincent. He's young, but he's a guy that they could also flip. I really think you're just doing it for Jalen Hood-Schifino and to get off the expiring deals of Chris Boucher and Bruce Brown, just to get something for whatever they are. I think that's why you do that, and it just doesn't hurt you to do it. Now, let's go ahead and talk some latest news. Royce O'Neal. Yes. Big Daddy Royce got an extension. Good for him. I love Royce O'Neal. I think he's a great player. I think he's a guy he's got a lot of skill, and he's someone that a team like Phoenix needed to keep. Didn't have a lot of options, but Royce O'Neal has agreed to a 4-year, $44 million deal. The contract is fully guaranteed with no team or player options. Straight up 4 years. The Suns acquired O'Neal from the Brooklyn Nets at the trade deadline for 3 second-round picks. In 30 games with the Suns, O'Neal averaged 8 points, 5 rebounds, just under 3 assists while shooting 37% from 3. And for me, I think that's it. You know, it's really, 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 it's interesting when you look at it because he's a multi-positional player. He can play the 2, the 3, and even small ball 4. He's a guy who can be a secondary playmaker. He stretches the floor. I know some people are going to be like, oh, his field goal percentage is below 40. He really just takes threes only. So I think that's something you have to consider. Now, Royce O'Neal is coming off a 4-year, $36 million extension from 2020. So you continue to pay him what he's been paid regularly. For a Suns team that salary-wise, I don't think they had the room to try to finagle or do anything. They had to keep him on the books. They're at $205 million, and that's including Royce already. And their roster as of right now, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Jusuf Nurkic, Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, Naz Little, David Roddy. And I guess the Suns draft pick would also be Ryan Dunn. So they have Ryan Dunn there too. Not a bad team. I think right now everyone would be like, okay, you're a little wing heavy. Let's go ahead. Let's go get a little bit of front court presence. Let's go get a little bit of back court presence. We need some guards. We need some more. Also, Bol Bol's on this team. So Ryan Dunn, Bol Bol, David Roddy, Naz Little, Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen, Jusuf Nurkic, Book, Beal, Durant. You need 5 more players. I think they've done a decent job of constructing this roster, better than last year. And I really think, like, dude, they can fit in well. And I don't know. I think it's a decent deal. You're not losing anything. I don't know where Moses Brown is going. He's probably done in the NBA, just playing pro ball somewhere else. Now, what are those? My name is Ciro Aseo Cook, but people call me Ciro Aseo. Ciro Aseo. Who's Klay Thompson's brother? How are you going to sign and trade? What are you going to sign and trade for? Gary Trent's also a free agent, by the way, bud. I don't know why this isn't like focused, but there we go. That was like outside the focus. Sasha Vezenkov or Vezenkov is close to the deal with Olympiacos. We'll need a buyout from the Raptors, but the Euro League MVP. Let's give him a round of applause. It was a good 1 year try. Sasha Vezenkov is close to a 4-year deal with the Olympiacos in Greece. Sasha was recently traded from the Sacramento Kings to the Toronto Raptors in the NBA. In order to return to Europe, Sasha would need to come to an agreement with a contract buyout with the Raptors. The 6'8" forward is owed $6.6 million for the 24-25 season. Toronto will likely seek to have him reduce that amount through a buyout before releasing him. And it just sucked. I wanted him to stay. And I was hoping like a good team was going to trade for him. But I think he just wants to go home. He doesn't like how it is in America. And it just didn't work out. He didn't really get a role. He played 12 minutes a night. It wasn't bad. I just think he didn't like going from being the best guy in Europe to being the 10th guy on a bench. And the report is that he's leaving. Okay, it's going to be a 4-year, $17 million deal. And allegedly he's leaving. Sportnato is saying that he's leaving or he's left. Like he's hopped on a plane. His agent will figure it out later, but he's gone. Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's, they have to buy him out, but it's just wild how like it just didn't work out. I really thought a team like Orlando, maybe a Spurs, this is San Antonio, a Knicks squad, one of the Los Angeles teams, Boston. I thought somebody was going to go out and try to give him a chance. But yeah, I think so. That's unfortunate. Bro, I have like my hair's like not even like Klay Thompson. Is it the voice? I don't even know why the Klay Thompson comp. I usually get my beard's not like grown out. I usually get either Lil Dicky or Ricky Rubio. Yeah, Zero. Yeah, like zero, but with like a C. Zero. You did it good. I get John. I've met Jonathan, like Giovanni or Giovanni. I know Wasserman. I'm friends with Wasserman. I'm friends with John Wasserman. Not really. It's its own thing. I mean, we've been doing it for a while. All right, let's get to the next topic. The Jazz are listening to offers for Lauri Markkanen. BS. I'm calling BS. I mean, look, I didn't think Mikal Bridges was going to be traded, but the Brooklyn Nets were trying to patch a roof. They were trying to patch their floor and their ceiling. Sometimes when you try to patch something, it doesn't work. You got to just tear it down. And the Jazz might be realizing that, like Mikal Bridges and the Brooklyn Nets, they might be patching themselves with Lauri Markkanen. And that in a similar situation, they've realized that we don't have a direction. We're just taking on contracts. We're a middle of the pack. Look, as a Washington Wizards team, I saw my team flounder outside of the play-in or before the play-in. It just didn't work out. You know what I mean. And with the Jazz, allegedly, according to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN on SportsCenter, he said that the Utah Jazz will listen to offers for the All-Star forward Lauri Markkanen. The Jazz will aggressively pursue trades for Mikal Bridges, or they were aggressively pursuing trades for Mikal Bridges before he was traded to the New York Knicks. Now Utah may pivot towards completely rebuilding around Keontae George. Wojnarowski indicated that it would take a massive offer similar to what Mikal Bridges got for a team to acquire Lauri Markkanen. The Jazz aren't necessarily shopping Lauri Markkanen either, but they are willing to move him if they are completely blown away with a trade package. In 2 years with the Jazz, Lauri Markkanen has blossomed into an all-star borderline all-NBA player after winning most improved player in 2023. Markkanen averaged 23.2 points and 8.2 rebounds per game last season. He was on the cusp of a 50, 40, 90 season while he hitting 48, 39, and 89.9 clip. His contract's fully guaranteed for just over $18 million this coming season. Speculation has been that Utah could use cap space to renegotiate and extend Markkanen's deal, should they not use that cap space to acquire players. Now, I know some people are going to say, oh, Philadelphia or something like that. I can't see Philadelphia getting him. And I think all Philly, a team like Philly could offer you is like 4 firsts and Jared McCain and Paul Reed. Cool. Houston has Phoenix's picks and young prospects that could be there. OKC is the one. I feel OKC. What about Ousmane Dieng, Kassan Wallace, and 4 firsts for Markkanen? It's not a bad deal. I think another one. I really do think that we gotta do. You know what we're about to do, right, ladies and gentlemen? Fanspo trade machine. Because how are we gonna talk about a potential trade without showing it? And I think the best way is let's go over here, Utah. I do like the deal that we were just talking about, Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City ended why can't yeah, they were like just up there. So first off, I know this is a lot of money that you would be throwing at them, but how does the idea of I guess they technically haven't, and this deal hasn't technically happened, but so we gotta make it happen to the Thunder, and then you gotta send where's Giddey, because Giddey's not on the team anymore, to the Bulls. All right. So who else were we gonna include in this deal because of monetary compensation? Also, we need to include one more deal, which is the Warriors took what's his face off this team's hands, and they basically sent to the Thunder for Lindy Waters. Okay. So Ousmane Dieng will include this deal to the Jazz. We've sent them Kenrich Williams. And then let's say you send this pick to the Jazz. You want to give them I think you give them 2 picks next year. You give them a 26 pick, and then you give them a 28 Dallas pick. Now, how does this deal look? And you're like, why would they outgoing? They have $27 million, and so they really would only be taking on $27 million. And this gives them, this works out really well. The Thunder would be insane. So, because they did trade Lindy Waters to the Warriors on draft night, and then Josh Giddey for Caruso, because this trade machine didn't have that deal done. And then basically the Jazz walk away with Kenrich Williams, Kassan Wallace, and Ousmane Dieng. They drafted Nikola Topic, so I know Kassan Wallace is someone they really like, but there, and then Ousmane Dieng just doesn't fit there anymore. You get rid of Kenrich Williams, and then John Collins, you could trade him next year. Lauri Markkanen, you extend him, and John Collins' contract will be off the books. Even if you weren't going to move off him, his contract will be off the books before you have to pay J-Dub and Chet Holmgren and everybody else. So it's cool, and I don't know, man. I really like this deal for everybody involved, because if you're basically the Jazz, you have yourself 4 picks now and 2 picks in next year's draft, which is like a really good draft. And if you're the Thunder, you have your front court set with Chet Holmgren, Jay Will, and John Collins and Lauri Markkanen. I don't know, man. That's a really good deal for the Thunder, in my opinion. Really good deal for the Thunder. Now, let's go ahead and do one last deal, and that is I saw someone comment the Hawks, and the Hawks would be a team that would be like, hey, we've done business before. How about I don't want to do all this work, but hypothetically, because the Pelicans sent, I hate that we have to do this real quick, but to the Hawks, and then to the Hawks. All right, and then to the Pelicans, they send them, what was it, a 25 and a 29, I believe it was. So you would look at this deal right here. How would they then send Lauri Markkanen over there? So you'd assume the deal would be around the Jazz would get him, and also AJ Griffin got sent to what team was AJ Griffin sent to? I want to make sure. AJ Griffin was sent to the Rockets. What a funny deal. What a funny deal. I forgot all about that little small deal that happened. So they did send AJ Griffin off the books, which we knew was going to happen. I was actually talking to Lauren Williams about that during at the draft, and that Lauren Williams, the beat writer. So then after this, who else could be included in this deal? I guess you'd have to include Kobe Buffkin. I'm sorry, Buffkin's gone, ladies and gentlemen. That he had to be thrown in this deal. So you walk away, and then if you're Utah, you're like, all right, what are you going to give us? So you give them a pick next year. You give them a pick in 2031 and a pick in 2030. What do you guys think of this big old deal? It fails because, we can't do a 26 or a 27 draft pick. So what draft pick? Okay. So here we go. We'll just send this one. Now, does the deal work like this? It should work because, wow. Oh, you can't send 2030 or a 31 draft pick. So basically, the picks that I included were just not tradable. So a 28 right here, and can I do a 29? They're going to tell me no, but we're going to see if this deal ends up working, and still fails because you can't send a 28. How great is this? So I can send a 29. I guess we're going to just send you a bunch of second-round picks, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't know how else you would look at this deal and just think, okay. This is how the deal would have to look like. We gave you so many second-round picks. There's 4 first-round picks. 4 first-round picks. And you walk away with 5 seconds. I feel like it's an overpay, but you get DeAndre Hunter and Kobe Buffkin. Hawks end this offseason by walking away with Lauri Markkanen, Larry Nance, Jason Daniels, and EJ Liddell for DeJounte Murray, AJ Griffin, DeAndre Hunter, and Kobe Buffkin. If the Landry Fields was able to do something like that, that would be insane. Seriously. All right. What else do we got right here that we need to add? Did we not put in the final? I thought we did. All right. So final thing I wanted to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, before we get out of here, unless any other news happens, but I don't see that happening because it's 10:30 at night. I also need to eat dinner. The Clippers could still move on from Russell Westbrook, even though Russell Westbrook just recently picked up his option. So the report we're hearing from Lauri Murray of The Athletic, while Russell Westbrook picked up his $4 million player option for the 24-25 season with the Los Angeles Clippers, a source told Lauri Murray of The Athletic that he may not actually begin the season on the team. Lauri Murray did not specify whether Westbrook is a buyout candidate or could be traded. The Clippers, who are navigating the free agency of Paul George and James Harden, are motivated to stay under the second tax apron of $190 million. Clippers had Westbrook appear in 68 games last season, averaged 11 points and 5 rebounds in 4.5 days in 22.5 minutes a night. And I don't know. I thought it was pretty wild. And they would want to move on from him because he was really good for them. But I think maybe he wants to move on and he thinks it's easier for him to get traded than to do the full free agency thing. And yeah, what do you guys think? I think it's definitely worth looking for a trade. As I don't know. I know Russell Westbrook was cancerous in the Lakers locker room, so that's not a good situation. But this is year 2. So what's crazy is he's not been in LA since 2021. He hasn't been a 20-point scorer since his days with the Wizards. What if he wants to go back to Washington? That would be wild. What if he calls up OKC and he's like, let me ride this team? Or he calls up Daryl Morey and he's like, let me join the Sixers. Daryl Morey is his boy. Or maybe he goes to Miami and he wants to go to South Beach. There's so many options that this man could do, because I think he is someone who's really good, who has a place in this league still as an off the bench player. I don't know if it's on the Clippers, and I understand that they need to prioritize. I just don't think, if they want to keep James Harden, I don't think you keep Russell Westbrook. He's also a very interesting guy. He's also a really nice guy, I've heard. Very nice guy. So for me, I wonder if you're a team looking for a veteran player to come off the bench. I really think Miami's the best fit. I think New York's another great fit. Milwaukee. OKC, we already said that one. Dallas would be good. I think Houston would be another one. Philadelphia. I think all those teams are fits for him. Minnesota would be another team that would definitely enjoy having a Russell Westbrook on their team. Maybe a Golden State. After that, I'm trying to think of teams off the dome, and it becomes a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I think that he's someone to keep an eye out for because of his, like I said, I mean, it isn't anything special, but he's still he's shown to be productive. I know this past season, 11 points, 45% for the field, 27% from 3, 5 rebounds, 4.5 assists compared to the year before, where I know sample size wise, the Lakers numbers weren't as good as the Clippers numbers, but the Clippers used in like 35% of his threes. I think combined for 2022 to 23, he put up 43.6%, 13.5 points, 31% from 3, which 31% was his best since DC, and DC was his best since the year 2016 to 17. So for me, I look at this and I think, all right, maybe there's somewhere. The 3-point shot's just so gone. It's like not even, it doesn't even work. But, all right. Thanks for kicking it with me, guys. I'm going to look at any things that you guys want. You said, I don't think Mike Smith's that bad. Joe Cronin, I mean, Portland's still figuring it out. The contracts they're taking off is weird. I expect DeRozan to be back. The only way DeRozan leaves is if it's like maybe a sign and trade or something for Paul George, but that's not happening anymore. I think you just keep DeRozan. Who's going to take him? Michael Winger's a really good organization, dude. It's so funny. When the Wizards did the trade for Denny Avdia, at first I didn't like it, but then I talked myself into liking it. My coworker, Michael Scott, it's just funny. Michael Winger's a funny guy. Just know that. I saw him. I know what Michael Winger said right after that trade happened. Wizards are doing good. I do believe that. Jordan Poole's contract. He's not that bad, dude. He's really not that bad. All right. That's it. I just want to get this in an hour because we've committed this so much time. Might as well get it in an hour. But you guys were cool. You kicked it with me. I appreciate that. I just want to say I had like a whole list of things that I wanted to do that like is not going to happen as a result. And it's fine. It's fine. We're going to do it tomorrow. Also, do you see all the dust that just came off of this piece of paper? I gotta pay this bill. There's a bill I gotta pay. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 9 is gonna be clean up. Finish. Table and couch. There we go. all my plans for tomorrow. I also need to go to the gym and play basketball. So this is everything I want to do tomorrow. I got terrible handwriting, by the way. I got chicken scratch. I write like a child. Now, I need to go get food because they're gonna close all the places. I'm not necessarily hungry. I need to eat though. I need to eat. I've also just like not been productive since. What time did I even get up? I was just such a piece of fucking shit. Yeah, I've been productive. I've not even been productive. I'm done. Bye, guys. Ciao. How do we end this? We're leaving. End this stream.